What if I told you there's a place where the ground never truly sleeps? A nation trembling beneath your feet. In just 7 days, 3 major earthquakes hit 3 separate regions of the Philippines. To most, it's terrifying. To scientists, it's a pattern, a warning. This isn't random. This is tectonic warfare. And right now, the Philippines is caught in the middle of a geological storm millions of years in the making. The surge of shaking. Late 2024. General Santos, a magnitude 6.8 earthquake rips through Mindanao, collapsing buildings and sending shockwaves across the south. Days later, Samar shakes. Then Luzon, 3 massive quakes, 3 regions, 1 week. But here's what most people miss. Beneath those headline quakes, hundreds of microshocks are happening. Deep, silent, and strange. Some in areas with no mapped faults. Others hitting zones that were dormant for decades. And that silence? That's the scariest part. Because when a fault line stops shaking, it's not always calm. Sometimes it's locked tight, storing pressure until it snaps. Scientists call it the seismic gap, and gaps always close. Over 100 measurable earthquakes strike the Philippines every year. About 20 cause structural damage. Several turn deadly. But this recent swarm is different. The epicenters are deeper, the tremors are clustering, and some regions are shifting vertically, either rising or sinking. 1 quake might be luck. 3 in a week, that's a message. And it might be the beginning of something bigger. Why the Philippines never rests. Let's peel back the Earth. Beneath the Philippines lies a 4-way collision. To the east, the Pacific Plate crashes west. It's one of the fastest moving plates on the planet. To the west, the Eurasian Plate dives beneath Luzon, creating mountains as it pushes upward. From the south, the Sunda Plate grinds north. And from beneath, the Philippine Sea Plate is squeezed in all directions. It's like standing in the middle of a 4-car crash, happening in slow motion, but with the force of continents. This isn't just tectonic chaos. It's geological entrapment. The Philippines is locked in place by pressures it can't escape. That's why the land bends. That's why fault lines stretch across city streets and rural fields alike. And it's why even when the surface is quiet, the ground beneath is at war. Most countries deal with 1 or 2 tectonic boundaries. The Philippines? It's surrounded by 4. That's a rare and volatile setup. Each plate boundary brings its own kind of stress. Thrust, strike slip, or subduction. And in the Philippines, they all exist, converging, diverging, and sliding past one another in a slow-motion clash. This continuous pressure doesn't just shake the islands, it shapes them. Mountains like the Sierra Madre and Cordillera ranges still rise a few millimeters every year. Meanwhile, coastal cities like Tacloban and Zamboanga are slowly sinking. The Philippines isn't a finished product. It's a constantly evolving battlefield of rock, the mystery of microquakes. Here's what's alarming seismologists in 2025. The rise of clustered microquakes. Usually, microquakes are harmless. They relieve pressure, release tension. But lately, the clusters have been concentrated in unexpected regions. Zones once considered low risk are now jittering like nerves before a panic attack. What's more, these microquakes are happening deeper than normal, 20, sometimes 30 kilometers below the surface. That depth means they're less likely to be felt, but more likely to signal larger movements in the mantle. Scientists at PHIVOLCS, the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, have launched a new AI-powered monitoring network to analyze these patterns. And that AI has identified anomalies, stress signals, in 2 regions, Luzon, near the Manila Trench, and Mindanao, near Cotabato. The system doesn't predict earthquakes, but it does detect areas where stress is building too fast. And right now, those alerts are going off. Why does this matter? Because these anomalies usually appear weeks or even months before major fault ruptures. In Japan's 2011 Tohoku quake, subtle shifts in the crust were observed long before the massive magnitude 9.0 event that caused the Fukushima disaster. Could the Philippines be next? The mystery of microquakes. Most people picture earthquakes as cracks in the ground, but the most dangerous forces are underwater. 7 major ocean trenches surround the Philippines, like a ring of loaded guns. These trenches mark subduction zones, places where tectonic plates dive beneath each other. The stress from these collisions can build for centuries, until it's released in seconds. Let's look at the Manila Trench. Located off the western coast of Luzon, this trench hasn't ruptured in over 400 years. But recent sonar data shows deformation in the seafloor. It's bowing, swelling. That means it's under pressure. If the Manila Trench breaks, experts believe it could trigger a magnitude 8.5 quake. That's more than enough to level cities and trigger a tsunami that could strike the Philippine coast within 20 minutes. Metro Manila, with over 13 million residents, lies directly in its path. Then there's the Cotabato Trench, south of Mindanao. It's not just capable of big quakes. It already proved it. In 1976, it generated a quake and tsunami that killed over 8,000 people in minutes. Since then, it's been eerily quiet. Too quiet. The Philippine Trench on the eastern side is even deeper. It reaches 10,540 meters below sea level. Deeper than Mount Everest is tall. When this trench slips, it affects the entire archipelago. One movement can jolt multiple islands at once. These trenches don't move often, but when they do, history changes. The fault lines beneath our feet. The ocean may be dangerous, but it's not the only threat, because beneath the cities, towns, and villages of the Philippines lies a vast network of fault lines. Some of them mapped, others still invisible. The Philippine Fault System is one of the longest in Southeast Asia. It spans more than 1,200 kilometers, cutting the country like a scar. This isn't a single crack, it's a web of fractures branching across Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. The Marikina Valley Fault is the most feared. It runs directly under Metro Manila, and while it hasn't ruptured in centuries, ground-penetrating radar shows it's active. Buildings, roads, even elevated highways are built on or near it. If this fault breaks with a magnitude 7.2 event, estimates suggest over 30,000 could die. 500,000 could be injured, and the economic cost? Catastrophic. Further south, the Mindanao Fault has been acting up. Small tremors, ground shifts, seismic noise. These are whispers of movement, foreshocks, or warnings. In 2023 alone, nearly 40 minor quakes were recorded in the Davao region. But in early 2025, the frequency doubled. Something is changing underground. Add to that the problem of unregulated urban expansion. Entire neighborhoods have been unknowingly built on fault zones. With limited seismic retrofitting and aging infrastructure, these areas are disasters waiting to happen. The science of prediction. Can we predict earthquakes? Not exactly, but we can detect the signs: strain, deformation, swarms, silences. The Philippines Seismic Network now includes over 100 land-based sensors and satellite imaging systems. These track real-time ground movement down to the millimeter, and the data tells a story. In 2025, both Luzon and Mindanao are experiencing anomalies. Ground deformation near Samar, uplift near Baguio, a strange drop in microquake activity near the Manila Trench. That last one is especially dangerous. When a fault suddenly stops producing small quakes, it's not always a good sign. It may mean it's locked, and a locked fault is one that's building up pressure. The new AI system developed by FIOX is scanning this data for patterns, and it's found two hotspots, two regions where stress is accelerating faster than anywhere else: the Manila Trench and the Cotabato Trench. Both are overdue, both are quiet, both are dangerous. The human factor. Here's what makes the Philippines especially vulnerable. Millions of people live directly on top of faults. Urban expansion often ignores geological risk. In many areas, low-income communities are built with little to no seismic engineering. Metro Manila is one of the most densely populated cities on Earth, yet much of its infrastructure wasn't built with a major quake in mind. Bridges, schools, hospitals, all potentially at risk. In rural areas, landslides triggered by even moderate quakes can cut off entire villages. In coastal zones, a tsunami could reach shorelines in under 30 minutes, with limited evacuation routes. And that's not including economic impact. A major quake in the capital could halt the nation's economy, disrupt supply chains, collapse internet and power grids. This isn't just a geological crisis, it's a national one. The Philippines is one of the most seismically active nations on Earth, not because it's unlucky, because it's alive. The land here is always shifting, always grinding, always warning. So what happens next? Will Luzon be shaken by a tsunami-generating rupture offshore? Will Mindanao's restless faults snap under pressure? Or will a new fault line emerge in Visayas, one we haven't even discovered yet? Drop your theory in the comments. Which region do you think is most at risk? If you want to stay ahead of what's happening beneath these islands, from new seismic tech to real-time updates, hit subscribe. Because in the Philippines, the question has never been if the ground will move,